Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Allahumma 'allimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima 'allamtana wa zidna ilman ya Rabbil Alamin. Allahumma arzuqna al-ikhlasa fil aqwali wal a'mal. Allahumma ij'al 'amalana fi ridaka amin ya Rabbil Alamin. Alhamdulillah, this is our sixth class in the explanation of the book Umdah Taalib al-Ma'arif, and we are in Kitab al-Mu'amalat or Fiqh al-Mu'amalat. And today we are going to talk about Ar-Ribaa was Sarf, Baab Ar-Ribaa was Sarf. This chapter is a very important chapter that a person should not remain ignorant of, especially in times that we are living in, wherein a lot of transactions and dealings that we are doing are very much prone to fall into the category of Ar-Ribaa, yani, the usury. This is the reason Imam at-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, he narrated in his Sunan from Umar ibn al-Khattab raziyallahu anhu that he would say, La yabi' fi suqina illa man tafaqqaha fi din. Yani only those who have deep understanding of the religion should come and buy and sell in our markets. Why? Because if you do not know about, if you do not deeply know about the religion, if you do not deeply know about riba, then it is very likely that you will fall into riba, because the various forms of riba are too many which are existing. Now, what is riba? Riba in Arabic language is derived from the meaning of increase. Raba yarbu, it comes in the meaning of increase. As Allah said in the Quran, Yamhaqullahu riba wa yurbi sadaqat, yurbi as sadaqat, which means Allah increases the charities. Yurbi, arba, yurbi. Same root, raba, which means He increases them. As for riba in the technical terminology, istilah, it is ziyadatun maqsusatun fi asnafin maqsusatin fil ajali aw fil qadri. An increase, it is ziyadatin fi shay'in maqsus. Ziyadatin fi shay'in maqsus. Either this increase is in terms of time period or this increase in terms of quantity. One of them, which is increase in terms of time period, is riba an-nasi'a, and increase in quantity is riba al-fadl. As we'll see the various types of riba. Before we go into the actual explanation of this chapter and what the Musannif rahimahullah has said, uh, it is better to understand this chapter on riba and the various types of riba that exist. So riba, this riba, basically it is of two types. Okay, so it is riba duyun and riba buyu. Two types of riba primarily exist: riba duyun, riba buyu. Riba duyun, it is the one which is actually mentioned in the Quran when Allah said in the Quran, "La ta'kulu riba ad'afam mudha'afa." La ta'kulu riba ad'afam mudha'afa. This is the riba which is being mentioned in the Quran. And what is this riba duyun? Riba duyun is the ziyada, which is stipulated when you are entering into a contract with someone, with a person. You are stipulating that increase right from the beginning in exchange for giving this person extra time to repay the loan. So this extra money that you are charging and stipulating in the contract right at the beginning in exchange of giving this person extra time to repay the loan is known as ribat duyun. And this ribat duyun is also known as ribal Quran, and because obviously the ayah concerning it is mentioned in the Quran, so it is known as ribal Quran, and it is also known as riba al jahiliyyah, because this was the kind of riba which was practiced by the people in the pre-ignorance period before Islam. They would practice it. So ribat duyun is when the extra, the ziyada, the additional amount is stipulated. But if it is not stipulated, and you are not stipulating it, but the other person is giving you from his own will and choice, then it is not ribat duyun and it is permissible. Like you gave loan to a person 10,000. You gave this loan 10,000 to a person. Now, at the time of giving 10,000 to someone, if you stipulate that, okay, you have to return this 10,000 in 3 months, but this 10,000, when you will return me in 3 months, you have to give me 11,000. This is stipulating it right at the beginning. Stipulating it right at the beginning, and this is known as ribat tuyu. It is also known as ribal jahiliya. It is also known as ribal Quran. And this is haram. It is impermissible. But you give loan to someone, your friend or someone, 10,000 rupees. You are not stipulating anything. You just gave the loan. He said, I will return it to you after 3 months. After 3 months, this person came with your 10,000 and he also gave you a box of sweet along with it. So it is extra. But this extra you did not stipulate. He is giving it from his own will and choice. And this is permissible. In fact, Rasulullah SAW, he said in one of the narration, Inna khiyar an-nasi ahsanuhum qada'an. The best among the people are those who are good and who are excellent when they are returning and fulfilling the due which is to them. So when they are returning the dues back to the owner, they are excellent in it, which means they give extra. But this extra is not stipulated right at the beginning, and then this is not called riba duyun. So for riba ad duyun, there has to be the ziyada is to be stipulated right at the beginning in exchange of the extra time which you are giving to the person in returning the loan. This is riba duyun, and this is something which is haram. So this is ribat duyun. And ribat duyun, it could be in anything, everything. It could be in anything and everything. The second type is riba al buyu. Second type is ribal buyu. Ribal buyu. This ribal buyu is again of two types. Okay, this is done. Ribat duyun is done. Ribal buyu is of two types. One is known as this one, ribal fadl, and the second one is known as ribal nasiyad. These chapters they concern this one, ribal fadl, ribal nasiyad. Two types. Okay, so one is ribal fadl and the other one is ribal nasiya. Two types of ribal buyu. Each one of them we are going to talk about. The Musannif Rahimahullah is going to talk about the rulings concerning both of them. But it is important that for us to understand what is ribal fadl and what is riba an nasiya. Now, in order for us to clearly understand ribal fadl and riba an nasiya, we must know that the sold commodities are of two types. Whatever you are selling, it is of two types. First type is riba based commodities and second type is non riba based commodities. One is riba based commodities and second non riba commodities. Yani ribawi, ghair ribawi. Two types of commodities. The riba commodities are six foundational items. Riba commodities are six foundational items which are mentioned in the famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, like al-zahabu bil-zahabi wal-fiddatu bil-fiddati wal-burru bil-burri wal-qamhu bil-qamhi wal-sha'iru bil-sha'iri wal-milhu bil-milhi wal-sha'iru bil-sha'iri wal-tamru bil-tamri. This is the one. So, yani these six things are gold, silver, at-tamru bil-tamri, dates, al-milhu bil-milhi, salt, al-sha'iru bil-sha'iri, uh, barley, likewise salt for salt. So الذهب بالذهب والفضة بالفضة والتمر بالتمر, dates for dates, and then salt for salt, and then البر بالبر, wheat for wheat, الشعير بالشعير, barley for barley. So these are the six items which are known as ribawi. So what are those ribawi items? Let me write it down somewhere here. So you have, we'll make two boxes. gold, silver. This is one box, and this is another box wherein we have wheat, we have dates, we have salt, we have barley. Here we have two items, here we have four items, gold, silver. Here we have wheat, dates, salt, barley, two boxes. Now, these six items are known as ribawi. Ribawi. Now, the scholars, after having defined the ribawi items, that okay, these are the six ribawi items mentioned in the hadith, then these six ribawi, these are known as asnaf ar-ribawiya, al-asnaf ar-ribawiya. Now, the scholars, they are unanimously agreeing, or they are agreed upon the fact that these six items are ribawi. However, the scholars, they differed concerning, is it permissible to do qiyas of other items and include other items along with these items. The scholars, they differed. However, the majority of the scholars, they agree that the illah, the reasoning, the cause behind these items to be considered, yani there is a cause in these items. In simple terms, the scholars, majority of the scholars, except for the Zahiriya, what do they say? Zahiriya, they say riba is only in these six things, only specifically, only in gold, silver, wheat, dates, salt, barley, only in these six things. Other than, for example, iron, they say no riba in iron, copper, no riba. And why? Because they say the hadith mentions only these six. However, the majority of the scholars, they say Rasulullah Islam, he mentioned these six items not to restrict the riba to only these six items. Rather, he mentioned it as example. And there is a deep understanding behind it, which means you have to look for the cause, the reason, the common reason why Rasulullah SAW mentioned these six items. What is that reason, the cause in them that these items are considered to be ribawi, which is known as illah? What is the illah in these six items? What is that illah? What is the illah in gold and silver? What is the illah in wheat, dates, salt, and barley? What is that common thing which binds them together? What is the common thing which binds these two together? This is what the scholars, they researched. And the majority of the scholars, they said that Rasulullah SAW did not intend to restrict riba to only these six items. Rather, he gave examples. And this is the reason the scholars, majority of them, except for the Zahiriya, who say that it is limited to only these six things, majority of the scholars, they say no, we can add more items to these groups based on illah. If the items, they share the same illah as this group, then we will attach those items to this group. And if they share the illah of this group, then we will attach that item to this group. This is what they say. And thus, riba is not limited to these six items only, but any item which will share the illah, it will be attached to the respective group. If we understand this, we go further. So now we know that the riba is not just restricted to these six items. Rather, every item which will share the same illah of this group, it will be attached to that group. This is, thus we say iron will also be ribawi, copper will also be ribawi, milk will also be ribawi, oil will also be ribawi, likewise. Now, what is the illah? Since we said it is permissible to add more items to these groups based on the illah which they will share. So the natural question is, what is that illah which binds them together? Is it just one illah, or there are two illah? We say there are two illah, there are two reasons, there are two causes. And this is the reason I mentioned these in two separate blocks. Because there are two different illah. One illah for this, that why gold and silver are mentioned together, and one illah for this. What is this illah? The scholars Hanabila, again there is some difference of opinion. Other scholars they consider something else to be the illah. Malikiya they say illah is something else. Shafi'iyya they say illah is something else. Ahnaf they say illah is something else. But we are studying the book of Hanabilas, rahimahumullah. So we'll say or we'll go by the illah which the Hanabila rahimahumullah they mentioned, that what is that common factor between them which makes them ribawi items, and also which allows us to add more item to them if they share the same illah. They say the illah is in this group wazan, weight, which means everything which is sold by weight, then it will have that illah and you can add it in this group. Iron is sold by weight, yes. Copper is sold by weight, yes. Anything which is sold by weight, you will add it to this group, gold and silver group. Because gold and silver are sold by weight in grams. So one illah is wazan. What is the illah here? They say the illah is kail, kail. And kail is volumetric measurement, kail. So in these four items, the illah, the common cause is kail. Each one, wheat was used to be measured. Dates used to be measured and used to be sold by measurement. Salt used to be sold by measurement. Barley used to be sold by measurement. And when we say the illah in these items is kail, then we must consider during the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Because today we do not sell it by volume, rather we sell it by weight. We sell the dates by weight, we sell the salt by weight, we sell the barley by weight. But it doesn't matter. We will go back to the time of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. At that time, how these items used to be sold? These items used to be sold by kail, not by wazan. And gold and silver, these items used to be sold by weight in the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Irrespective of how they are being sold today, it doesn't matter. How they used to be sold back then is something what is important for us. So these items used to be sold by volumetric measurement. So anything which is sold by volumetric measurement will automatically will go into this category. Milk is sold by volumetric measurement. It will go here. Oil, it is sold by volumetric measurement. 1 liter, 2 liter, half a liter, a particular vessel. Yes, it will come into this category. So now we know the illah, one of them is wazan, the second illah is kail. Okay, now we have understood the illah also. We have understood the two categories. Now another point which we have to understand. In these categories, this is the category of gold, silver, and this is the category wherein you have wheat, dates, salt, barley. Now this gold, it is known as jins. It is known as jins. Silver is another jins. Okay, wheat is another jins. Dates is another jins, and a broad category. Jins is like a broad category, and this is gold. This is gold, category of gold. This whole big circle is the category of gold. Now there may be other types of gold within it: 24 karat, 22 karat, 21, 18, maybe 16. So gold is the big category, main category. Within the category of gold, you have different types. This is known as now, naw'un, or plural is anwa. So these are anwa within the same jins. So gold is the jins, main broad category. Within that broad category, like gold is the broad category. Within that broad category, you have 24 karat, 22 karat, 21 karat, 18 karat. All of them they will fall under the category of gold only. But gold we will call it as jins, and these 24, 22, 21, 18, 16 we call it as now or anwa within it, within the category or the broad category of gold. Likewise for silver also. Silver also, there may be various categories, various types of silver, some good quality, some low quality, some uh, intermediate, medium quality. They all will be within the gens of silver. Likewise, dates. Dates is not just one type. You have like barni, you have ajwa, you have janib, you have jam, different kinds of categories of dates they come. All of them they fall under the jins or broad category of dates. So you have to understand, because I am going to give you three very important qawaid in the chapter of riba. If you memorize those three principles, the chapter of riba will be like piece of cake, very easy. So we have understood the jins, we have understood the now. Jins is the broad category. Now is the subcategories or the subtypes within that broad category. Likewise, wheat also, different types of wheat they come, sharbati and whatnot, different categories. Punjabi, wheat which is grown in Punjab, then MP sharbati, different kinds of wheat grains they come, and the rates they vary. The rates they vary. So we have understood now jins and we have understood the now. Now I will give you three qawaid, three rules, which we can apply. And then once we have understood it, then we'll go into the text and we'll try to understand what the Musannif Rahimullah is saying here. Now, we have understood that gold is a jins, silver is a jins. Now, rule number one. Rule number one. The rule number one says uh, selling one jins for another jins of the same type. Yani selling jins for, selling jins for jins. Better to say, or exchange. Say not selling, you can say exchange. Mubadala. Exchange of jins for jins. This is the first type which can happen. What does it mean? You are selling gold for gold. We said say exchanging jins for jins, which means you are exchanging gold for gold. You are exchanging silver for silver. You are exchanging wheat for wheat. Same jins. You are exchanging dates for dates. And it doesn't matter, because we said within the jins you have subcategories. It doesn't matter. Even if you are uh, you have 24 carats of gold, and the gold shop has 22 carats of gold. So this is also gold, this is also gold. It doesn't matter that this is 24, this is 22. You cannot exchange it like this. 24 for 20, yani, uh, this exchange, it can occur, but with two conditions. This is what we are going to talk here. So exchanging jins for jins, this is the first thing. If you are exchanging jins for jins, it doesn't matter whether it is 24, 22, 21, or 24 and 18, 24 or 22, 24 or 21. Doesn't matter. We will call it as gold for gold. Doesn't matter what is the quality, whether it is 24 or 22. We will call it as exchanging gold for gold, because these are subtypes within the main broad category. If you are doing this, two conditions are to be observed. You have to fulfill two conditions in order for you to do this kind of exchange. Exchanging jins for jins, exchanging gold for gold, exchanging silver for silver, exchanging wheat for wheat, exchanging dates for dates, salt for salt, barley for barley. If you want to do this kind of transaction and exchange, two conditions are to be fulfilled. What are those two conditions? Those two conditions are known as tamasul. One, qabud. Two. Two conditions are to be fulfilled. Tamasul, taqabud. What is meaning of tamasul? Tamasul means equality. Taqabud means possession. Right now, immediate possession. Immediate possession. Which means if you have a gold necklace, if you have a gold necklace and you are going to a gold shop, okay, so the exchange, when it will take place, it has to be exactly in the same amount. If this necklace is 20 grams, then the shop owner must give you 20 grams of gold in exchange. You cannot say the shop owner cannot say this 20 gram of yours is 22 carat and the gold that I have is 24 carat. So I will give you 18 grams. No, we said same jins. When the exchange is taking place within the same jins, then these two conditions must be observed. Tamasul and taqabud, which means 20 grams for 20 grams, 10 grams for 10 grams. Even if the two types of gold differ in their quality, one of them is 24, the other is 22, doesn't matter. And this is something which is very common in women. It is very common in women. They go to the gold, this jewelry shops, and they do these kind of transactions day and night. They go with their ring or their earring or their thumb ring. They go to the shop and then they give it to the owner, maybe 5 grams of gold ring, and in return, the shop owner will give them another ring of 3 grams. Riba. This is riba al-fadl. This is known as riba al-fadl. Why? Because quantity is differing. You are giving more, and in return, you are getting less. This is known as riba al-fadl, excess. Okay, and this is impermissible. It is not allowed. It is riba. It is riba al-fadl. So, two conditions must be fulfilled. Number one, tamasul, equality. Number two, taqabud. This exchange must take place right now at that time. The shop owner cannot say, actually we don't have gold right now in our stock. What you do, keep your gold with us, 20 grams. Tomorrow I will give you 20 grams of gold. No, taqabud has to be there right now, today, at this moment, at this second. You have to give exchange the gold. So two conditions must be fulfilled, tamasul and taqabud. So this is the first rule, qaida. When you are exchanging jins for jins, then two conditions must be met, tamasul and taqabud. First thing. Second thing, I need some space. Second thing, second qaida. If you are exchanging one jins for another jins, if you are exchanging one jins for another jins such that they share the same illah. We said the illah here is wazan. Here illah is kail. Now the second rule says where you are exchanging one jins for another jins such that they share the same illah, then only one condition is to be observed. Only one condition. And that condition is taqabud only. Tamasul is not needed. When you are exchanging one jins for the another type such that they share the same illah, then there is only one condition which is to be fulfilled, which is taqabud. Taqabud. Which means if you have gold, 10 grams of gold, you go to the gold shop, jewelry shop. You want to give this 10-gram gold to the shop owner, to the jeweler, and you want to uh, exchange this gold for silver. Then it is not a condition that silver also has to be 10 grams. No, because they are two different jins. And when jins is different, only one condition is to be observed, which is taqabud, which means here you can, there is no need for tamasul. Only taqabud is required, which means you will give 10 grams gold to the shopkeeper, the jeweler, and the jeweler will give you, for example, 1 kg silver, permissible. No need for tamasul. But taqabud has to be there, which means the exchange must take place right now. The seller cannot say, come tomorrow, I don't have 1 kg silver today. You give your 10-gram gold right now. Tomorrow I will give you 1 kg silver. No. What is the solution? Tell him I will come tomorrow again. Give my 10-gram gold. If you don't have 1 kg silver right now, no problem. Bring 1 kg silver tomorrow. I will come with my 10-gram gold tomorrow and we'll exchange hand to hand. Yadan biyadin. Hand to hand. Taqabud. Immediate possession. It should be hand to hand. You give by one hand and I'll take by another hand. This is known as taqabud. So when you have You are exchanging between two different jins within the same category which share the same illah, then only one condition is to be observed, which is taqabud. Third rule and the last rule: when you are exchanging one jins for another jins such that they do not share any illah, no common illah, they don't share same illah, they don't share common illah. When you are exchanging one jins for another jins, one jins for another jins, but they do not share illah, same illah, common illah. In this case, do whatever you want. No restriction. No tamasul, no taqabul. No tamasul, no taqabul. You don't need. You are free to do. Which what does it mean? You are exchanging gold for wheat. You are exchanging silver for salt. Do whatever you want. No need for tamasul. No need for taqabud. Which means even the seller can say, okay, give your silver today. After 2 days, I will give you 50 kg barley or 50 sa of barley. No problem. Permissible. You can do it. These are three important rules which we must remember in order to understand the chapter of riba. Now we can read after having understood these three important rules and associated these things. Now it is possible we can go back and we can read now. So yahrumu ribal fadl wa an nasi'a. As we said, riba is of two types: riba duyun and riba buyu. Riba buyu is of two types: riba fadl and riba nasi'a. He is talking about that it is haram. Ribal fadl, so he is giving us the hukm at taklifi, that it is haram. Ribal fadl and ribal nasi'a both are haram. Ribal fadl is from excess, ziyada. The word fadl is from ziyada. This is the reason, when we call someone fadil. So when do we call someone to be fadil? And fadila to share. From this we have the word fadil. From same word we have fadl, which means this person who you are referring to as fadil, he has qualities which are extra, over and above than the normal person. This is the reason you call him fadil. So excess, it has to do with something which is excess. So ribal fadl. Ribal fadl, it has to do with excess, which means 20-gram gold, you are exchanging it for 15 gram. This is ribal fadl. 1 kg silver for 1.1 kg silver. This is fadl, extra, excess. Same jeans, you are exchanging. One of them is more than the other. Ribal fadl. You are entering into ribal fadl. And what is ribal nasiya? Nasiya is delay, ajal, delaying something. Nasiya. What is meant by nasiya? Yani, as we said, 20 grams of gold, you are giving it to the shopkeeper today. He says, I will give you 20 grams of gold tomorrow. So when you agree on to this kind of transaction, which is haram, as we said here, it is known as riban nasiya because there is delay, ajal, in delivery of the other exchanged product. You are giving it today. He says, I will give you tomorrow. Or even after 1 minute, or 2 minutes, or 5 minutes, or half an hour. He says, I will give you after half an hour. No, this is riban nasiya. Even though there is no ribal fadl, you are 20 gram, you are giving 20 gram. He says, I will give you 20 grams, but after 1 hour. No, it is riban nasiya, it is haram. Give me right now, immediate, hand to hand. So this is riban nasiya. Now he says, Fala yuba'u makilun bijinsihi, wala mawzunun bijinsihi illa mathalam bi mathalin yadam bi yadin. This is the first qaida that we talked about. We said, see, makil and mawzun. These two words actually are referring to the two illa. Makil is from kail. Makil is every item which is sold by measurement. Makil is an item which is sold by measurement. Mawzoon is an item which is sold by weight measurement. Makil, volumetric measurement. Makil is every item which is sold by volumetric measurement. Mawzoon is every item which is sold by weight measurement. Gold, silver, iron, copper, these things are mawzoon. On the other hand, as we said, during the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu wheat, salt, dates, barley, these are the things which used to be sold by volumetric measurement. A special kind of vessel, which is known as sa, was there, and they used to sell by that sa, which was a vessel for volumetric measurement. So the Musannif Rahimahullah is giving us the first qaida, which I told you. Fala yubau makilun bi jinsihi, yani makil for makil, same makil. Wala mawzunun bi jinsihi, with its same type, same jins. What does it mean? Gold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat, barley for barley, dates for dates, salt for salt. You cannot exchange it. You cannot sell them, but with two conditions. Number one, masalam bi masalin, yani equality, tamasul, and yadam bi yadin, which means taqabud. These are the two conditions which I referred to, and this is the first qaida. Tamasul, taqabud. When you are exchanging within same jins, gold for gold, silver for silver, salt for salt, barley for barley, wheat for wheat, dates for dates, same category, same jins, two conditions. Masalam bi masalin, yadam bi yadin. ولا يباع مكيل بجنسه وزنا ولا جزافا ولا موزون بجنسه كيلا ولا جزافا. Now this qaida is based on what it used to be during the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What he is saying that an item which was normally used to be sold by volumetric measurement, you cannot sell it with its same type by wazan, which means wheat. Wheat during the time of Rasulullah SAW used to be sold by volumetric measurement, by kail. So you cannot exchange wheat for wheat by wazan, by kg. And you cannot exchange 1 kg of wheat with, for example, 1 kg of wheat. Why? They say because equality cannot be achieved. Equality cannot be achieved, they say. However, this was in the olden times. In the olden times, wherein the weight measurement was not very precise the way weight measurement is precise in our times. Very precise, high precision weight measurement machines are available today. You can measure the weight up to, maybe decimal points perfectly and precisely. So the fatawa, they have changed. This is not my job. This is the job of the scholars, the mufti. They will look into the situation of the human beings, the masses, how they are dealing in the present times, and is it permissible for them to exchange wheat for wheat um, by selling it or exchanging it in kgs by wazan or not. It is their job, it is not my job. But what I am saying is that in the present times, the situation has changed. We have very precise weight measurement systems wherein you can very precisely say for sure that these two bags are exactly equal. Thus, tamasul is possible now, even if you sell a makil by weight measurement. Yani something which used to be sold back in the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam by volumetric measurement. In today's time, if you are selling the same item by weight measurement, you can achieve equality. But why the scholars they did not allow it back then? For the sake of tamasul, for the sake of equality. Because as we said back then, they did not had precise weight measurement system. So in order to be on a safer side, to not fall into riba al-fadl, they blocked this. And this is known as saddu zara. They blocked the means which could lead you to riba al-fadl. So they blocked that mean. So they say, wala yubahu makilun bi jinsi waznan wala juzafan. Juzaf is something you do not know its its quantity. It is just maybe a big heap, something lying like this, a big heap of grains, maybe lying on the ground. Now, this is a ribawi item. For example, wheat. A big heap of wheat is lying here. And there is another big heap of wheat lying somewhere else next to it. This is number one. This is number two lying side by side. Is it permissible for you to exchange these two, this heap of wheat with this heap of wheat? Answer is no. Why? Because tamasul is cannot be guaranteed. Can you be sure that this heap of wheat is exactly same as this heap of wheat? No, you cannot be sure. This is the reason to block the means. To block the means which could lead you to ribal fadl, the scholars they blocked it. The scholars they blocked. Thus, juzafan impermissible. For the same reason, because equality cannot be ascertained, equality cannot be reached, and this is the reason. Likewise, wala mawzunin bijinsihi kailan. Likewise, something which is sold by weight, you cannot sell it by volumetric measurement, because again equality cannot be achieved. Okay, like iron. Iron is sold by weight. Now, today, if someone wishes to sell iron by volumetric measurement, we say no, equality cannot be achieved in this case because iron used to be sold by weight measurement. So, if you want to truly achieve the equality, sell it by weight. Don't sell the item which is normally sold by weight by volumetric measurement, because for the same reason, equality cannot be achieved. And if equality cannot be achieved, you will fall into ribal fatal. And there is a qaida. The scholars they say the qaida is al jahlu bit tamasul, al jahlu bit tamasul kal ilmi bit tafadul. Very important qaida. Al jahlu bit tamasul kal ilmi bit tafadul. Yani, if you are ignorant about equality of two things, and you don't know whether these two things are equal. Yani, here, see this heap. Do you know that these two heaps of wheat are exactly equal? You say no, I don't know. I cannot say for sure, which means you are ignorant about their equality. So the qaida says al jahlu bit tamasul. Your ignorance about equality of these two heaps is as if you know for sure that there is disparity. You know for sure that there is disparity. You know for sure that they are not exactly equal. If you don't know that they are equal, which means you are sure that there is disparity between these two, and thus it is impermissible for you to enter into this transaction because there are chances you will fall into ribal fadl. And the Sharia, it has come and blocked that means for you to avoid you from falling into ribal fadl. This is what is mean. Then he says, وَإِنِ اخْتَلَفَ الْجِنْسُ كَبُرٍ بِشَعِيرٍ. This is the second qaida. First qaida over. Same jins. Gold for gold, silver for silver. We need two conditions. This is the second qaida. One jins with another jins, such that they share the same illa. It is important, which is not mentioned here. But you must remember the second rule. Second qaida. One jins for another jins, such that they are sharing the illa. Like bur for sha'ir, wheat for barley. So wheat is a jins, barley is a jins. And what is the illa between these two? Do they share the common illa? The answer is yes. The illa is kail. Kail. They share the common illa. In this case, they say jaza kailan wa wazanan wa juzafan. Now here, earlier they said no, it is impermissible. You cannot sell bur, which is sold by kail, by wazan. You cannot sell bur by wazan because it is sold by kail. But here he says it is permissible. When you are exchanging items wherein there are two different jins such that they share the common illa, then it is permissible. One of them could be kail, other could be weight. Both of them could be weight. This one could be weight and this one could be kail. This one could be kail, this one could be weight, or both of them could be in weight. What does it mean? Yani 10 kg of bur for 10 kg of shayir. Permissible? Permissible. Even though, now you can say, but how are we going to ascertain equality? We will say there is no need to ascertain equality tamasul, because we said in qaida number 2, here you only have to observe one condition, which is taqabud. When the jins is different within the same category of illa. Within the same category of illa, if you are exchanging two items from two different jins such that they are sharing the same illa, then you only need one condition to be fulfilled, which is taqabud, which means this transaction must occur right now, hand to hand. But you know, increase or decrease in the two items is permissible. Like you can go to the shop with 50 kg of wheat, exchange it for 30 kg of barley, no problem, permissible. Or 30 sa, 30 sa, which is a volumetric measurement, kail, 30 sa of wheat for 35 sa of barley, permissible. Even juzafan, like heap, one heap of wheat with one heap of barley, permissible. Why permissible? Because in this case, we need not to worry about tamasul, equality. So it doesn't matter. If this heap is big and this heap is small, no problem. It doesn't matter in qaida number 2, because the jins are different. So you can sell it juzafan, you can sell it by wazan, you can sell it by kail, no problem. Because you only have to observe one condition, which is the condition of taqabud. The transaction must occur right now, hand to hand. So this is done, qaida number 2. Qaida number 3 is, it is general because it does not require any condition. So the Musannif Rahimullah did not mention. The qaida number 3 is, if you are exchanging two jins, yani both of them are ribawi, like gold for dates or wheat. So they are two different jins, but they do not share the common illa. In this case, you don't need to observe any condition. You don't need to observe any condition for exchange. Increase is also allowed, delay is also allowed. No hand to hand requirement. You don't even require equality. Just sell it whatever way you want. Okay, so this is when two ribwi. Now, what about one of them is ribwi and the other is not ribwi? Even more so, permissible. When two ribwi items, which are from different jins and which do not share the illa, if it is permissible to exchange without any conditions, then one ribwi item with an item which is not ribwi is permissible even more so. Like gold for car. Car is not a ribwi item. You can sell, no problem. You can deal with it. More, less, delay in payment, everything is allowed. Then he says, "Wala yasihu bay ulahmin bihaywanin min jinsihi." Now, meat, meat is sold by weight, wazan, which means it will go into the category with gold and silver because the illa is wazan. Now he says, "Wala yasihu bay ulahmin bihayawanin min jinsihi." What does it mean? Yani you have goat meat, goat meat. You cannot exchange goat meat with a living goat. This goat is living. This is goat meat, like maybe 20 kg goat meat. You have 20 kgs of goat meat. You cannot exchange it with a living goat. Why? For the same reason, you cannot ensure equality. Do you know that this goat has exactly 20 kgs meat? No, you don't know. So, in order to preserve the condition of tamasul, the scholars have mentioned this. Tamasul has to be there because meat for meat is qaida number 1. Meat for meat. You are exchanging meat for meat. Goat. Why are you purchasing goat for? It's meat. So how can you ascertain that this 20 kg meat that you have will be exactly same as the meat in that living goat? You cannot be sure. Even if there is doubt of 0.00001%, it is impermissible because you will end up into ribal fadl. Not allowed. Wala yasihu bay'u lahmin bi hayawanin min jinsi. Now what about if you change it? You have 20 kgs of goat meat. Can you exchange 20 kgs of goat meat with living cow? Yes. Why? Different jins. This is goat meat is jins, and cow is another jins. It is permissible for you to exchange because it will fall into qaida number 2. The only condition which is to be observed here is taqabul. The transaction must takes place right now, but tamasul is not required. So it is permissible. If the jins, it changes, but 20 kg goat meat with living goat not allowed. Likewise, wala bay'u habbin bi daqiqihi aw sawiqihi. And all of these, if you notice, as we'll see, why the Sharia has prohibited these exchanges or transactions, for the reason of inability of equality, or achieving equality, inability to achieve the equality for this reason. Like grains, bay'u habbin is grains like wheat, exchanging wheat for wheat flour, exchanging wheat for wheat flour, permissible, not permissible. Why? Because tamasul cannot be achieved, because when you grind the grain, it changes. Maybe, like, it will take more space. 10 kgs of wheat will take less space, but 10 kgs of uh, flour will take more space. It will fill more. So you cannot achieve tamasul. This is the reason the scholars, they do not allow grains with its wheat. You cannot exchange between it because you cannot achieve tamasul. Likewise, sawiq. Sawiq is nothing but you grind these grains, then add certain things to it, like maybe water, milk, and you convert into something like paste like thing, and then you eat it in breakfast. And like cornflakes, you can something which is very similar to cornflakes. Now you have that dry cornflakes, and then you add milk to it and mix it, and you convert it into a paste like a thing, and then you can eat it. Savi. For the same reason, you cannot exchange wheat with its saviq. You cannot exchange barley with its saviq. You cannot exchange you know rice with its saviq, if at all they make saviq out of, for the same reason that tamasul cannot be achieved. And this is obvious. Then wala ni'ihi bimadbukhihi. Likewise, raw, something which is raw grains or raw meat and raw grains, you cannot exchange it with cooked form of grains or cooked form of wheat. Why? Because when you cook something, the moisture dries, and now the tamasul cannot be achieved. The moisture dries, yani the raw meat has moisture, while the cooked meat or the cooked grain, it doesn't have moisture. It dries, and thus tamasul cannot be achieved. And this is the reason Sharia has prohibited. Likewise, wala khalisuhu bimashubihi. Likewise, pure form of grains, like pure form of wheat, which means only wheat. You cannot exchange it with wheat mixed with something else, like wheat mixed with barley. So you cannot exchange wheat for wheat which is mixed with barley, because you cannot be sure that the wheat which is mixed with barley is exactly same as the wheat which you are exchanging it with. Tamasul is not achieved. Likewise, wala ratabihi biyabisihi, not something which is wet with something which is dry. Yani wet grain with dry grain, for the obvious reason. Wet grain and dry grain, tamasul cannot be achieved. It will be heavier. A wet grain, after absorbing moisture, it swells. Thus, one sa of wet grain will occupy more space in the vessel, and you will get less amount in comparison to yabis, which is dry. So, uh, it is impermissible. Likewise, dry dates for wet dates. Rutab with tamar. Rutab is fresh dates, which are wet, fresh dates. It has moisture. While tamar is dry date, which has no moisture or very little moisture. Impermissible for the same reason of inability to achieve tamasul. Except there is one exception, araya. Araya is a special kind of exchange of fresh dates which are still on the date palm tree with the dry dates which are available with the person on the ground. This is known as araya. Rasulullah SAW allowed it for the requirement because people were in need of it. So, looking to the need of the people, Rasulullah SAW allowed this transaction wherein a person has fresh dates on the date palm tree right now, fresh dates on the date palm tree. So, a person came to this owner of the palm tree. This person has, say, 50 sa of dry dates of the previous year. 50 sa of dry dates of the previous, sorry, not 50, let us say, yes, 50 sa, because there is a limit to this araya, 5 wasq or ausuk, 5 ausuk. And wasq is a is a form of volumetric measurement, like kg, like liters. So instead of liters, they used to have this wasq, and the plural is ausaq. So the maximum limit for arayas permissibility is only 5 ausuk. 5 ausuk. So a person came with three wasq of dry dates of the previous year to this person who has date palm tree. So they agree on to this transaction. He says, okay, it appears that some experienced people will come and they will say, this date palm tree, it will produce 4 wasq of fresh dates. When you will take down those fresh dates, its quantity will be somewhere around 4 wasp. Who will say this? Experienced people. Those who know by looking at the date palm tree how much it will produce. So there are fresh dates which are 4 wasp on the date palm tree, and this person has 3 wasp fresh dry dates. So he will give these 3 wasp to the date palm owner, and he will take possession of these 4 wasp of fresh dates on the tree, date palm tree. This is known as araya. And Rasulullah SAW allowed it for the requirement and necessity of the people as they were in need of it. Then he says, وَيَسِهُ بَيْءُ دَقِيقِهِ بِدَقِيقِهِ إِذَا اسْتَوَيَ نُعُومَةً. See how much, the scholars have given, attention to this issue of riba. They say, what is permissible? Earlier we said wheat for its flour is not allowed. But what about if you have wheat flour with wheat flour? Allowed. Why? Tamasul is possible. But the condition is if the fineness of these two flour is same. When you are grinding it, the fineness of this flour, it should be same. Why? In that case, you can achieve the tamasul. This is the reason they are allowing. So there is a condition. Nu'uma is the fineness of the grounded flour. They should be exact of the same quality of this fineness. If both the flour have the same kind of fineness, then it is permissible for you to exchange it equal, yani masalan bi masalin wa yadan bi yadin, with the tamasul and with taqabul. Likewise, wa khubzuhu bi khubzihi. You can exchange bread of wheat bread with wheat bread, provided they have the same amount of moisture in it or same amount of dryness in it. Moisture and dryness amount should be same. Why? In order to achieve the tamasul. Wala yuba'u manzu'un nawa bima fihi nawa. Now, for example, dates. Dates have this seed inside. Now, if you take the seeds out, so that you can eat it very easily without needing to worry about taking these date pits out. Is it permissible to exchange the dates without the pits with the dates which have pits? No. Why? For the same reason of tamasul. This is what he is saying. Manzu'un nawa, yani dates from which the date pits have been removed. You cannot exchange such kind of dates with those which have date pits inside it, because tamasul cannot be achieved. Likewise, ولا ربوي بجنسه ومعه أو معهما من غير الجنس كمد أجوة ودرهم وبمد أجوة ودرهم أو بمدين منها. Now this issue, the scholars they call it as mud ajwa ma dirham. Mud ajwa ma dirham. What this issue is? It is like, for example, you have one mud. One mud is handful. When you combine your two palms and you fill these two palms with something, with dates or with wheat, with rice, then this is known as one mud, and it is again a volumetric measurement. So you have one mud of dates plus one dirham. You cannot exchange one mud of dates plus dirham for one mud of dates only. No. Why? Because why this dirham? Why this extra dirham? What, you know, it is in exchange for what? You do not know. In order to close the door of riba, al-fadl, all of this is being done. It is impermissible. Because we do not know this one dirham, why this extra here? Just to saddu zarai, to block the means which may lead to riba al-fadl, scholars have blocked it. So one mud dates plus dirham for one mud of dates, impermissible. Likewise, one mud of dates or two mud of dates for one mud plus one dirham, not allowed. Two mud of dates for one mud and one dirham, not allowed. Why? It's for the same reason. It may, yani, uh, for the inability to achieve tamasul. Now, if somebody says, okay, this one mud from here is against one mud here, and the other one mud is in exchange of one dirham, we say, if at all you want to do that, why are you combining these two into one transaction? Separate them, exchange one mud for one mud, and then purchase one mud for this one dirham. Better to avoid those areas which may ultimately lead you to falling into riba. Just to be extra cautious and safe and sure, the scholars have made it prohibited. No, to not allow even slightest of the doubt to creep in, and to not allow the shaitan to come and play with us. They have closed all doors as much as possible. Then he says, وَيَسِيهُ بَيْعُ نَوَى بِتَمْرٍ فِيهِ نَوَى. Now earlier was dates from which the seeds or the date pits have been taken out. He said it is not permissible to exchange dates without pits with dates which have pits. Not permissible. Here he is saying date pits only. Date pits. Not the dates, but the pits which come out of the date. You exchange those date pits for dates which have pits inside it. Permissible. Why? Because here you are you are actually intending the dates. Here you are not intending the nawa. You are not exchanging date pits for date pits. You are exchanging date pits for dates which have pits inside them. Permissible. Because here tamasul is not required. Because they are two different jins. Nawa, date pit, is a jins, and tamar is a jins. And when you have two different jins, even if they share the illah, then tamasul is not required. Tamasul is not required. So you can exchange, no problem. There will not be any ribal fadl here. Likewise, soof, wool, or milk, yani exchanging wool for a sheep. Yani you have wool. Is it permissible for you to exchange this wool with a sheep which has wool on it? The answer is yes. Because your ultimate goal is not wool but sheep here which you are purchasing, and that wool is coming as part and parcel with the sheep. You cannot separate it. So the transaction is allowed because these are two different jins. This is wool jins and this is sheep jins akhar. Likewise, milk and animal which has milk, which gives milk. Like you have milk, maybe 50 sa. Can you exchange this milk for a goat? which gives milk? Answer is yes. Why? Because you are trading for the goat, not for the milk. And these are two different jins. So there is no requirement of tamasul. So you can do it. No problem. Then he says, وَيَحْرُمُ رِبَا نَسِيَةٍ بَيْنَ كُلِّ مَكِيلَيْنِ أَوْ مَوْزُونَيْنِ لَيْسَ أَحَدُهُمَا نَقْدًا وَلَوْ من جنسين فإن تفرق قبل قبض بطل كالصرف. Okay. So here he's saying riban nasiya is haram. What is riban nasiya? We said riban nasiya is, when the taqabud is not taking place right now. Delay. When one of the commodity or one of the ribubi item is delayed in exchange, then you enter into riban nasiya. And riban nasiya can occur in both the two situations. The first situation is when you are exchanging gold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat. In this category also riban nasiya can occur. Yani you are exchanging 20-gram gold with 20-gram gold. But the shopkeeper will say, come tomorrow, I will give you 20-gram tomorrow. You leave your 20-gram today, I will give you 20-gram of gold tomorrow in exchange. This is riban nasiya. Why? Because there is delay here. And as I said, even if it is 1 hour, no, not permissible. Do it hand to hand right now. And if you do not have shopkeeper at your shop right now, no problem. I will come after 1 hour. No problem. Shani, what's the problem in coming after 1 hour? Coming after 1 day, coming after 2 days. Okay, no problem. Come after 2 days. Exchange the gold after 2 days. Why to fall into riba? So riban nasiya, he says, Yaharumu riba nasiyatin bayna kulli makilaini aw mawzunaini. Bayna kulli makilain. Yani wheat to wheat, barley to barley, salt to salt, dates to dates. Impermissible, haram. You cannot give 20 sa wheat for 20 sa wheat, but delivery is tomorrow. You give 20 sa today, I will give you 20 sa of wheat tomorrow. No, not permissible. Makilain. Likewise in Mauzunain also. As I said, example, gold for gold, silver for silver. 1 kg of silver I give you today, and you say, I will give you after 2 days, 1 kg of silver. Not permissible. It has to be right now. Then he says, Laisa ahaduhuma naqadan, such that these two mawzunain, such that one of the two is not naqad. So he is making an exception for the mawzunain. Why? In order for a chapter on salam, bay'us salam will come later. In order to exclude the salam, this condition has been put here. Because, say, if this condition is not there, then it will make, like salaf or salam impermissible for us. Like, for example, there is iron and gold. Gold is also mawzoon, you sell it by wazan. Iron is also mawzoon, you sell it by wazan. Now, if you want to purchase gold, say 50 kg gold with 50 kg iron with 2 grams of gold, no problem, you can do it because tamasul is not required here because they are two different jins. Gold is a different jins, iron is a different jins. So you can differ in quantity. Here it is 50 gram, here it is 2 grams. Done. But is it permissible that I give the payment today? I give, I am the buyer. I am giving 2 grams of gold to the seller of the iron seller. Keep this 2 grams of gold, and the seller says the delivery will be after 5 days. Permissible? Answer is permissible because the scholars have put this condition here. Laisa ahaduhuma naqdan. See, these both iron and gold are mawzoon. They are sold by weight. They are sold by weight. If this condition was not there, then we say yahrumu. You cannot differ the delivery of gold or delivery of iron. You cannot differ if this condition was not there. And by removing this condition, you are actually declaring the bay'us salaf or salam to be haram. While it is not so, it is permissible, as we'll see in the chapters they will come. What is bay'us salam? You give the money to the seller today, and he promises to deliver the item after 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. They're permissible. This is permissible. So in order to not make by salam impermissible, this condition has to be there. So gold is a naqad and it has a value. It is cash, like it is kind of cash. So if one of the two things which are weighed is a naqad, like here gold or silver, while the other thing is another mawzoon commodity, then in this case it is permissible. Yani riban nasiya is permissible. Yani it is not actually riban nasiya, but the delay is permissible. Delay is permissible. So 50 kg of gold, you take the 2 grams of gold coin and you say, I will deliver 50 kg of gold after 5 days and it will not be considered riban nasiya. Then he says, Walau min jinsayni. Even if it is from two different jins, still it is considered to be riban nasiya. Yani, what is mean by it? Gold exchanged for silver. These are two different jins. This is one jins, this is another jins. So riban nasiya also works here, which means if you are exchanging 2 grams of gold for 50 grams of silver, it is permissible for you to do that. Tamasul is not required here, but it must be exchanged hand to hand. If you are not exchanging hand to hand, you will fall into riban nasiya. This is what is mean by walau min jinsaini, which means riban nasiya can enter even if the jins they differ. فَإِن تَفَرَّقَ قَبْلَ قَبْضٍ بَطَلَ كَالصَّرْفِ. But if you know, uh, disperse, if you leave the place before actually taking possession, then batala, then this contract will stand invalid. What is mean by it? You came with 2 grams of gold in order to purchase 50 grams of silver. Transaction is done. Both of you agreed. You gave 2 gram of gold coin to the seller, but before you could take the possession of the silver, you left the place. Or the seller says, I don't have 50 grams of silver right now. You come after 2 hours. By that time, I will bring it and I'll give it to you. If this happens, batal, this contract is invalid. And you have fallen into riban nasiya, which means it should be hand to hand. Kas sarfi. With this, we enter into the concept of sarf. What is sarf? Sarf is mubadaratun naqadi bin naqad, exchange of money with money. And surf in our times is exchange of paper currency with paper currency. And the scholars they say paper currency is a category in and of itself. There are some scholars who consider paper currency to be considered with gold, silver, and here you have paper currency. But there are scholars who say no, this paper currency is a category which has an illa, and the illa is samaniya, which means its power to purchase, purchasing power. Paper currency, the illa is the purchasing power, samaniya. It has samaniya, it has purchasing power. And thus the scholars they say Saudi Riyal, it is a jins, pounds, British pounds, it is a jins, Indian rupee, it is a jins, okay, Japanese yen, it is a jins. So within the same jins, if you are exchanging, then same those conditions, two conditions should be fulfilled. Tamasul, taqabud. 50 Saudi riyals for 50 Saudi riyals only. You cannot, as it happens amongst us also, like, you know, shopkeepers normally they need change. 1 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin, 5 rupee coin, 10 rupee, they need it. There are beggars who have lot of these coins. Like he has 500 rupees of coins in different denominations, 1, 2, 5, 10. So he comes with these 500 rupees coins. He gives it to the shopkeeper, but he says, you have to give me 510 rupees. This is riba in Sarf. Why are you charging 10 rupees extra? For what? Impermissible, because this is a jins, and this 500 rupees is also same jins. And for when the jins is same, qaida number one will apply. Tamasul and taqabud must be observed. So if you are giving coins of 500 rupees, you can only take 500 rupees paper note, currency note. That's it. Not allowed for you to take 510 rupees. Whatever name you give it to this transaction, it is impermissible, it is haram. Okay. But when you are exchanging between SAR and GBP or SAR and Indian rupees, which happens like that when you are traveling to Saudi or when you are traveling to United Kingdom, you do this money exchange at the airport. You give 10,000 Indian rupees to that money exchange agent, and then he gives you maybe like 100 pounds. So there is no tamasul because it is not required. There are two different jins. The qaida, as we learned, it will apply here, qaida number two. They are from two different jins sharing the same illah, and thus only one condition should be there, which is taqabud, hand to hand, immediately. I am giving you 10,000 now, you give me 100 pounds right now. I am giving you 10,000 Indian rupees now, you give me 200 Saudi riyals now. So tamasul is not required when the jins changes, but taqabud has to be there. So this is what sarf is, and it is treated as a ribawi item. Then he says, وَيَجُوزُ النَّسَاءُ فِي بَيْءِ مَكِيلٍ بِمَوْزُونٍ. And by the way, this word nasi has come in Quran also, uh, in Surah At-Tawbah, nasi'a. Yani what the Arabs they used to do, they used to advance forward and delay the months because 3 months of Hurma, which have sanctity, they come one after the other. Zulqad, Zilhij, Muharram, they come together one after the other and they cannot fight in those months. What they used to do? They used to move. Okay, move the month of Muharram a little later. Bring Safar before it, Muharram after Safar. So this delaying the months and bringing them forward is what this nasa means. So he says, وَيَجُوزُ النَّسَاءُ فِي بَيْءِ مَكِيلٍ بِمَوْزُونٍ وَمَا لَا كَيْلَ فِيهِ وَلَا وَزْنَ. Now this this nasa, yani deferred payment, is permissible in selling a makil or mawzoon item. It is permissible. وَيَجُوزُ النَّسَاءُ فِي بَيْءِ مَكِيلٍ بِمَوْزُونٍ. Yani when the illa is different. As we said earlier, this is the qaida number three, if you remember. Qaida number three. In qaida number three, what did we say? When the jins differed, when the jins differed, one of them is mawzoon, the other is makil. This is makil, this is mawzoon. When you are exchanging these two items, the illa is different. Here the illa is wazan, here the illa is kail. And when you are exchanging them, no condition is to be observed. No tamasul, no taqabul. So nasa is permissible in this case, which is qaida number three that we learned. Also, wama la kaila fihi wala wazana. And also in all those items which basically are not sold neither by kail nor by wazan. For example, those which are sold by counting, like eggs, like eggs, they are sold by counting or similar things. So eggs for eggs, permissible. Yani two eggs for five eggs, no problem. You can do whatever you want. Delay also you can do. Deferred payment and deferred delivery. Two eggs I give you today, five eggs you give me tomorrow. No problem. Because there is no, riba there. Taqabud and tamasul both are not required. So we stop here. And because this issue of dain, it requires some kind of explanation. So it will take more time. So inshallah, we'll speak about La bay'u, this dain. What is dain? How to understand it? Inshallah, these things we'll talk tomorrow. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.